effects of his cancer, you know.
No man, the man I come prepare.
Yeah man.
We don't look at each other anymore.
Racism is still alive and kicking.
Jamaica is the best country in the world. Fortunes may be made there, without question.
And let's face it, slavery is worse today than it was 100 years ago.
What it's like to fly.
Wolverhampton has been known for many things over the years, but recently it's received some bad press. I'm here to talk to the black community and to get them to tell their story. The story of the Jamaican Wolves. The story of the Jamaican Wolves is long and complex, spanning 3 continents, and I'll be telling their story through a number of objects, key reference points on their timeline. The funeral of Deansmore Duffus. Sadly, funerals have become a central meeting point for a once vibrant community.
My name is Dr. Josh Johnson. I'm a community facilitator. I live in Wolverhampton for the past 50 years. Yeah, growing up, well, I was born in a little place called Hillsborough, which is in the parish of Hanover. Well, Hillsborough is, you go through a place called Harvey River. Harvey River, I don't know if these people are from Scotland. Harvey's from Scotland? Or, well, wherever they were from anyway. But they were more people of colour. Yeah, lighter colour to us. And then you move and go around towards Askinish, where Dolphin Head Mountain is. And Askinish is where a lot of the people in Wolverhampton, that area comes from. I would have gone to school at Clifton. Can always look over to my house in the evening to see if the fire is lit and how bright the smoke is, and you know, you can work out how the food is set up so you know what time to go in, yeah? But where we live in Hillsborough, we've got a man, John T. Miller, and he used to, you know, very light-skinned man, and you know, the whole family of him. He used to ride a horse, a lot of land, and he's got a copper mill, which run by his son, Perty Miller, and you know, so they used to make sugar cane.
Sugarcane is the first agricultural product in the world to go through an industrial process before going to market. The word factory is first used in English to describe the Jamaica boiling houses.
We use the sugarcane to make sugar, especially the wet sugar. It used to be sweet. We used to just love it. So they got the grinder that grinds the cane. They say it's a mule. But like on a Saturday sometimes when mom's not around and gone to the market, we would rush down there and pretend to be the mule and grind the cane and, you know, have fun really with his children. Even though there was some kind of, what would you call it, name calling. Because we are the darker skin and they are the lighter skin, you know.
Some racial divide was there.
Yeah, but I don't know if they see it as racial divide, but no, when you grow up, you can see the difference, you know. But
what kind of names?
Well, like for me, I was a tar bucket, which is it does nothing really to be tar bucket, but it is a But sometimes you fight really because you can see the anger between when it's said, you know. And you might throw a fist but the next day everything done. You have a meatball, you bust it and you share it again and you're gone. But those little names you used to call. But again, isn't it also that kind of situation then in Jamaica where the darker skin would, you know, a privileged few will have money, but we still live together. It's like the Indian man, you know, we say the coolies, but everybody stick together, isn't it, in all times. And that's why the motto is, out of many, one people.
Out of many, one people. This motto of inclusivity belies the fact that the Jamaican history is a brutal and violent one, built on racial superiority. A realization that many Jamaicans still struggle to understand or accept.
Summerlee wastes no time heading out to the cane fields. The British have been in Jamaica since 1655, when they took the island from the Spanish. It's now a colony, providing Britain and her American possessions with sugar. By Summerlee's time, there are 700 plantations on the island.
The rain keeps away, we should have a very good crop.
For Summerlee, African slave labour is the machinery of his plantation, ideally suited to the task.
The climate in the West Indies is oppressive. The humidity for a European produces indolence and diminishes health, and ultimately the vigour of the mind. The Negro is constructed for exactly that climate. Their skin is thicker and able to withstand the heat.
Like all planters, Summerlee sees slaves as mere workhorses rather than people.
The light shining off the naked skin of the Negroes is a magnificent sight. The blades rise and fall like the violins of a well-conducted orchestra.
A uniquely detailed inventory of his father's property shows that Summerlee inherits 910 slaves worth £36,000.
The red cross on the Jamaican motto points towards its DNA. Although seen as a black country, its social construct and identity was formed by the English. In a time when European countries became wealthy through acts of genocide authorized through the church. Time for item number 1. This picture of Jesus Christ symbolizes the change in culture for the Africans, imposed upon them by their English masters.
Stick you out a road, you know. Right now, $1,000 come like $100. See, so I wait, mother. Yes,
Yep, April 2009. People will miss out on a lot of things, really, aren't we? It's not really, should I come in at the hands, man?
Teaching martial arts in the city for a number of years has meant that Joshua can go very few places without being recognized. But I think he likes it just as much as tending to his allotment.
Been here, what, six years? If you ask me my plot number, I don't know.
So who was that person calling to you?
That lady just? Oh, I used to teach her kids karate years ago. I mean, they're now married men with children. And whenever they see me, man, it's just, he works for Birmingham City Council. Yeah, so they buy and sell cars on the internet. It's amazing.
So she was wanting to show her gratitude all the time.
Every time they come over. I said, no, not today. Not today. You go there, stand for hours, man. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, as I said, what you reap or what you sow. Welcome to my plot. It's all the way up to the top, you know, under the tree. Yeah. Potatoes are coming up good. Thyme, scallion, which I think you're gonna have some. The rhubarb, these are the American peas. Them coming on sharp, and the garden. Them one. So everybody know I say because I'm retired, so I find the time. Yep. Corn are looking lush.
So when will the corn be here?
And the next couple of months we should have corn ready. September. Yeah, we should have them ready.
And
ready.
Your favorite way of cooking?
I just put them in the pot and put some little butter in there and yeah, make them steam down. But I like roast corn, but these corn, you haven't got the proper stuff to roast it like whole. Every year I leave a section. So under here, much all under that is manure. Yeah, horse manure. Yeah. See, you see the worms are in there, coming out and all kind of things in. Oh man, asleep, you asleep. Don't tell me to walk up there, so are you that man?
Yeah man.
You're bossing around it, man. Look at man, look how the man bossing. The man punking, you don't see it? A Fargo truck, you have to go carry come up here now. You have to go bring a Fargo or a Dodge. Yeah? A Fargo or a Dodge truck to come taking a pumpkin. I arrived in England in 1966. The 26th of August it was. And my father and my uncle came to fetch me from Manchester Airport at the time. And it was a good drive. It was to see the country, the motorways, the way they were. It was a little bit, yeah, uplifting, I can say, compared to our little roads, you know?
Country come at town.
Yeah, country come at town, yeah. So, you know, Dad was glad to see me. My uncle was so glad too, because it's the second time we met. I was 16. And then when it came to Wolverhampton, there was a big reunion. And then seeing the houses and the way things were. And then it was going to be my first winter. In those days as well, August was cold too. Yeah, because I remember I went to West Park, or was it September? Well, one of them times. I went to West Park and the pond was frozen. Yeah, the boat one, where we used to go boating in West Park, was frozen. But yes, it was an experience, and an experience that I wanted to make a better life. That's why I was sent from Jamaica to here.
How long was it that you hadn't seen your parents?
It was, my dad was 6 years and my mom was 4 years. Yeah.
That's a big.
My dad came from 1960 and then my mom came in 62. Yeah, I think it's 62 my mom came. Yeah, so it wasn't a big gap comparing to other people who doesn't see their parents anymore.
Family separation goes back generations for the Jamaican Wolves, causing impairments in the attachments between those born in Jamaica and those born in the United Kingdom.
Before I come here, I was on another plantation. You ain't my first man. The first was when I was just a girl. We was married Christian. That master didn't believe in Jesus for niggas. I love that man. His name was Ben. We had 2 little baby girls. One night, he run off. I helped him. He was gonna get free and then fetch me and the babies. And we all be free. But they catched him. They catched him. And they hanged him. And they sold off my babies.
There was a plan, because Dad was in the RAF here in Stafford in the Second World War. So he knows Wolverhampton. So he came back to join his friends, and so it was kind of home from home in a way for my dad.
And who were you left with in Jamaica at the time?
When my mom left, I left with my cousin, great man, Hugh Johnson. Disciplined man. I don't mean a man who beats you, but your hair must be combed, your clothes must be clean. Every Sunday we'll go to the river to make sure we bathe. I'm not talking about we bathe, because that's what we did in those days, not wash, bathe and scrub, you know, and then church. And you come home and you got your cow skin ready, your cow foot ready, and when you're eating, you know, you just have to sometimes pull your lip, because it was so nice, you know, in those days. So I respected that man so well that when I went back, I went and I bought him a lot of stuff, and he actually could not believe that I did what I did. Bring him clothes and bring him, but I only spent 2 years with him, and I went and lived with my aunt closer to Lucy, because I was then going to travel to England.
Enoch Powell, who gave Rivers of Blood speech back in Birmingham, I think it was the early 70s. He caused a lot of racial tension amongst people here.
In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man. Well, I can already hear the chorus of execration. How dare I say such a horrible thing? How dare I stir up trouble and inflame feelings by repeating such a conversation? My answer is that I do not have the right not to do so. We must be mad.
Powell, Member of Parliament for Wolverhampton South West, had deep anxieties about the country being overrun by the Jamaicans and the other immigrants travelling to Britain. The Jamaicans were coming to a hostile environment.
It almost passes belief that at this moment, 20 to 30 additional immigrant children are arriving from overseas in Wolverhampton alone every week.
Powell ended his speech with a line from the Roman poet Virgil, which summed up his deep sense of anxiety. It is one of the most misquoted lines in British political history.
As I look ahead, I am filled with foreboding. Like the Roman, I seem to see the river Tiber foaming with much blood.
Gary Anderson, aka Daddy Simeon, used to play upon Skyline Radio, 11 years service, and you don't know, so I love reggae music and I love all all the fans, and I love all the DJs, because you don't know, so you're doing a good job. Keep it up. My dad first came to this country in 1961, and when he came here, his first address was here in Avondale Road in Whitmarines. 37 Avondale Road. He rented a room. When he came into Avondale Road, he met friends. The next thing he wanted to do was to go home, because he realized that this wasn't the place what he expected it to be. He actually admitted he cried, and if he had the £30 the week, he would have booked his flight and went straight back to Jamaica. My family, when they came here, they had to go through all those race riots, and I've heard the stories about Teddy Boys and those people, where the black, my father's generation had to fight.
So what was the reception like from the people, the general population, the white people, and what was the reception?
Well, some part was rough and some part like, you see what I mean? For when, none of the white boy them never liked the black them. And that's why it used to be a lot of eruption. But they got some, the Teddy boy them, all them time. And then got some with crook like car, some with bicycle chain on them, some knuckle duster, so, but they couldn't manage to black them. Only for fight and beat up, you know.
Which you was involved in personally?
Well, the whole of we used to, yes, what I mean. The whole of we used to have to be involved.
Far from causing race riots, Powell was convinced he was speaking on behalf of the immigrants.
But I ask this question. If a member of Parliament, in his own constituency, in the place where he lives, sees certain to him real, growing and threatening dangers, which are brought to his attention by his constituents of every race and class, is he to be silent? Is he to say nothing about it? Is he to suppress the facts?
But isn't the sort of talk we've heard this afternoon liable to make relations between the races built heads?
Oh, I don't think so, because the immigrant here, the immigrant settled here, as I know very well in my own constituency, is just as anxious as the British residents about the dangers of which I was talking.
Even I remember as a little boy, you know, I must have only been about 3, 4 at the time, but I do remember my parents speaking about this repatriation thing which was being talked about, giving them £500 to go back. And I researched this thing and I seen what this man actually done, and he came from Wolverhampton as well. His social club, what he used to own, now belongs to black people. The house what he used to live in also now belongs to black people as well.
Time for item number 2. The Dutch spot, symbolizing that despite the journey and the hostile environment, the Jamaican Wolves made it here with a sense of who they are and what they were about.
When I talk about self-reliance now, yeah? Well, for me, I see it on a 16-year-old, and to this day, I'm 60s plus man. I grew up in a situation where I still tell people this to this day. I grew up in a triangle. So I got my home, I got school, and I got the church. Yeah? So whatever you do at home, it goes to church, goes to school. So it rotates. So you know at all times you've got to be on that straight and narrow. When I came here, so that was in me. So when I came here, I saw the same thing in Whitmarines. I'm just gonna say Whitmarines at the moment, because I live on Avondale Road, number 22, and I go there every month or every 2 months, just drive by to see the attic that I was living in as a boy. And I had the same thing, because you got Allen Road, Avondale Road, and Richard Street. And, you know, I came and I saw the same kind of people in a sense, same community from Jamaica, like it just planted in with Marines. Vibrant, people was happy, people was doing things, people were creative. You know, every black person house you go in, them have what they call them crochet upon them table, some of them look like a duck, some the fish. All those things was so, and it's all mothers, sisters who were knitting those things. But that same triangle as I talk about, Avondale Road meets with Allen Road and Richard Street cut it up. And you got some family there who are like your mother, your father. You have to be upright. You know, there's nothing about, good morning, Mrs. So, good morning, Mr. You all right? Are you a Johnson's son? We say, yes, ma'am. To this day, there is yes, ma'am. This is all the kind of things we kind of missing from our community. But
at that time as well, people were able to trust things from the shopkeepers, certainly from your black Caribbean and Jamaican shopkeepers, because you had that relationship with them. I am Daisy Brown, and I grew up in Wolverhampton. This is where I was born and bred. And this street is a street that I grew up on. 600 yards down the road, on this road, is where my house used to be. And the university now has built student accommodation there now. Growing up round here, it was like a community feeling. There were lots of blacks and Asians mainly. There were the odd white families, even Italian families. There was an Italian family living next door to us. Got on with them very well, and Asian family on, you know, on the other side of us, got on with them very well. But I remember also there was a shop, a Caribbean shop, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Salesman, and it was right here, right where these cars are now. And you could get your groceries from there, your Jamaican groceries, your yam, banana, everything, even your thyme. And I'll tell you something about thyme in a minute. But yeah, my mom used to send us up here. When she'd be at home, she'd send us up here, because it's just a quick walk to the shop, and we would get all the different things that she wanted. And I remember with Mr. and Mrs. Salesman, they were like our parents to us as children growing up. They were very protective of us. They knew us and whatever. So you had that good relationship. And obviously they were close with my parents as well. So that was really good.
One of my fond memories, again, growing up here in Wolves, and I think everybody have to pass through it, is market. Everybody have to eat. That's probably why my arms are longer than most people. Sometimes clothes can't fit me because my arms so long, because we're carrying the shopping bag then. Yeah. Sometimes we go to market with your mum, and you end up carrying 4 bags in each hand, and you're just walking around and you see her friend, and the long talking, you know what I mean? And you gotta wait. Or when you had enough of that now, then you know you might have to stop. One spot down by the entrance doorway, where you'd meet other friends with their bags, and then we would get to interact and talk with each other, you know, and stuff. And then you would book one of the parents and say, "Oh, Black Calvert's gonna go on town." Oh.
Back at me.
Good. That's how you do it properly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I had to follow you.
You know something? Somebody called me and said,
Yeah.
You needed me.
I did, yeah.
You
yeah.
did?
I do, but you know, but I didn't want to.
Pass.
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought maybe you're probably too busy. Maybe it's too.
Too busy. I tell you something. People love. People depend on this mind reading thing, you know.
Okay.
Pick up the phone
Yeah.
24/7. The
Yeah.
telephone is, that's what it is there for. It's not no problem.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
so I can't remember the reason. Somebody mentioned it, and I said,
My cousin's stroke uncle.
yeah. But the more important thing is when. When?
All right. Well, it's
aye, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Calvert.
Good.
And I said to him, I said, that's Calvert, that is. That's Calvert.
I'm playing the drum, but it's effort.
It's a community
When you burn out yourself, and everybody say, bring some drums, man. And I bring out the drums. And when you look around, everybody gone, oh, they gone home. Who left the drums then? I made me 1 foot.
But there were the days when they used to,
I've eased up a lot.
Full up on man.
I remember on one occasion I was sent to the shop to Mr. and Mrs. Salesman to go and get time for my mum. So I came to the shop and I said to Mrs. Salesman, oh, Mum wants to know the time. And she said, you sure your mum wants to know the time? And I said, yeah, she does. She sent me to come and find out the time. So she told me the time and I went back home and I told Mum what the time was. Obviously by then time would have passed, but anyway, I told her what the time was and Mum says, no, Daisy, but why you for buy the time for this soup? And yeah, going back as well, this building here used to be a pub. Not sure what it was called then. I know in later years it was called the Feathers. And now it's owned by the university and it's called the Apprentice Hub. So this is still standing. I think it's one of the only building that's still standing around here on this street, because the Molyneux have taken over that side of the road and the university has taken over this side of the road. So this is the only original building that I can see. But it's just nice to see that this is still here. I remember that very well. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience having the shop so close to home. We could pop in any time. We used to sit on the doorstep of the shop and just be conversating with the owners. It was brilliant. It was really, really good. It was a wonderful feeling.
So at the market, I wonder, is it a chore or is it something pleasurable? It might be pleasurable if you get something out of it, but really I see it as a chore because I never really like it. I wanted roller drum and I wanted the park, you know. So I see it like that. But we all have to do our jobs. If I want to go roller drum, if I want to go roller drum, I gotta work. I gotta tidy the yard, sweep the yard, clean the window, wipe down the skirting board or whatever. And I think I was lucky really, because some people them days now washing machine twin top, and they had to, you know what I mean, with the wash pan in the yard. You know what I mean? So I was lucky I didn't have to go through that, but some of my friends did. But still, pocket money as such, we didn't have pocket money as such. If we did a little work now around the house, so like I said, clean the windows and do blah 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 blah, then they'll say, you know what, hold this, some change, then you can, you know what I mean? You got money to skate or whatever.
You look back, we used to have top-ups, creativeness. Neil Prendergast, who made Tot Pops, one of the big company that used to go to London, Scotland, yeah. And then we used to have people who make greater cakes and things like that. You know, West Park, just round in the middle of Whitmarines. If 3 o'clock comes and you're not in West Park, you miss most of the action. When I say miss most of the action, you got to join in the action, because people come from all over just to be with us in West Park and Whitmarines.
So what was Newhampton Road like during that period?
Again, Newhampton Road was brilliant. Ezra Garwood, Pa, what a man. I'll tell you something what Ezra did to me. I think in 1970, yeah. I left home when I was 20. No, I didn't left home. I ran away from home when I was 20. Let's talk it as it is. I went, Mom used to beat me, man. I got to laugh. I love her to this day. We talk about it. I used to go out at night and go to parties, come in late. So get up Sunday morning, Dad gone to work, Dad catch the flyer. For those who know what the flyer, don't know what the flyer is a bus that picks you up at a certain point for 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, yeah, to get you to the bus depot to get your bus out, because Dad was a bus conductor at the time. So I came down about nearly midday, I think it was, this one Sunday. And Mom was sweeping up inside the living room. So I said, "Good morning, Mom." Of course. Mom didn't answer. I said, "Good morning, Mom." Woof, with a broomstick. So I blocked it. I was doing karate then, didn't I? And Mom said, "Man, you're turning." I said, "No, Mom." "So what you block for?" I said, "Well, Mom, it hurt." And they get a block and say, "Two man can't live in here, you know." Yes. So I said, "Me not turn man." I said, "Well, your pa gone to work and you just get up and ask for food. No man, you're turn." So, you know, and I know she didn't want me to leave, and I know my dad told me after she was crying that but I just thought, well, just in case anything, that I had to, you know, defend in any way, and she might feel that I disrespect her. I went and looked somewhere to live, and there's where God gave me somewhere to live, and, you know, I haven't looked back since. But Ezra one day, they had a cafe on New Hampton Road. There's 2 cafes. Clifford Spence across the road was very like upmarket for upmarket people. He kind of didn't want us in there, seriously. But Ezra Garwood was like the foundation man. He takes you and he looks at you, and so I was sitting there. I used to play 1, 3, 4 music for I can't remember how much it was at the time. 4 music for £1, yeah, for £1. And I used to spend £1 on 1 music.
Joshua's chosen track was Who You Gonna Run To by the Techniques. Like many of the Jamaican Wolves, he was homesick.
During that time, I see many business, and it was quite inspiring, really, when I see what was going on as a young person, to see black people running the show, because, you know, don't call name, but I see a friend got to work for a company. In the end, ended up building their own company, a very big popular company, you know, and I'm very proud that they go on to do that. So it's like, yeah, we can run our own show. How it felt for me as a child, seeing some of these business, like the Top Pop business, you know, it felt good. It feels that, yes, even myself can have a good business, like these guys who I grew up with, because, you know, we grew up the same way, you know, but they have something in them to want to do whatever they're doing, you know, have that drive. And of course, you take on that, innit? You get the inspiration for that. So say, yeah, so Dave's doing this. Me too, I'm running my thing too. I feel proud of him, that he must feel proud of me. People look and say, oh, you know, and it must go on. It carries on.
Yeah. In 1998, my father and myself was recognized by the Wolverhampton and African Caribbean Achievers Award for what we have contributed. They used to do a lot of different things for the community. That was the hub of our community. And I know it's not the only one in the country that does diminish that way, you know, a few more has gone that way. But Wolverhampton, I think it left us in a state of shock. Because the elementary school that the kids used to go to, I mean, look at my daughter now, the role model, which I don't like the word role model really, you know, but I'll use it too. The teachers looks like them, helps them, and they see someone who doing things looks like them in a positive manner. And now my daughter ended up being a primary school teacher and loving her job, you know. And I think these are the kind of things that we need to see in schools. We need to see more of all people in there, because there's nothing wrong with anybody else teaching us anything, but it's how they see us. Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, you can only learn. Yeah. There's a word that says the child can only learn from the person that they respect. I did pick something up from one of our great professors in Jamaica, Professor Rex Nicholsford. And I met Rex years back at a conference, and he awesome. That man is, we've lost, and we're always losing our great people, you know. But if anyone should look up Rex Nicholsford, yeah, Professor Rex Nicholsford, and read his book and things, very good man. I pick up a word and it says the power to create and to innovate remains the greatest guarantee of respect and recognition. I'm only saying that again because, again, when you look at England and you look at us as black people, everything must be ready-made. Or creativeness, as I spoke earlier on, has gone from us. Well, it hasn't gone. We don't utilize it.
It's dormant.
Dormant. You play golf? Because my handicap went dormant once. I play 3 rounds. But anyway, yeah. And this is what I'm saying. We just feel that we can't. And this is where I think the teachers that looks like us comes in. The lecturers that looks like us comes in. And, you know, to be honest, even the banks, if you go to the bank, so the children here don't see that they can move at all, because, well, nothing is happening for me, because it's not out there in the face. I think that's children that born here should go home for 6 months to see the bus driver looks like them, the bank manager looks like them, the policeman look like them, the teachers look like them, the doctors look like them. It's important. Other races, that's what they do. We looks like we can't do anything, and yet we are the original people of this universe. Africa is the cradle of human race.
Other things that used to go on in the community, we had a place called Harambe. On the Waterloo Road. Which is not far from here, again just a walk from here. You'll get there in 2 minutes from here, and they used to sell black foods as well. And again, you could go there, get your groceries and whatever, and the people who run it then, they used to offer other services to people in the community, like almost like a care in the community. Right, yeah. So it was popular for everything. That's right, Zaman, yeah. Yep. Yeah, so, you know, you could go there and you'd feel part of the community. You'd get the support that you needed, not just for when you need to buy your food, but, you know, conversation and whatever, and people that needed help or support. It was there in Harambe. Yeah, that's right. And obviously it's gone now. So one of those things, you know, is missed in the community. We also used to have a place called the Cultural Centre, and that was based in Clarence Street in the town centre. And again, that was on a sort of larger level, where they would provide services for people in the black community in the main, but it also used to have like a cooking service, or you could go there at lunch times or any time of the day and get a meal, and people would go there and just socialise. They used to have lots of dances there. People used to come from out of town to come to the cultural centre. People used to talk about the cultural centre who didn't even live in Wolverhampton, and people knew about it, and it was a real community spirit, and all that just seems to have been lost now. It's a real shame, and I don't know how or when we could get that back, because I certainly miss it. I certainly miss it because I was used to it growing up.
The 1980s was a decade of social unrest, when this man, Arthur Scargill, went to war against this woman, Margaret Thatcher, and lost.
them mark you with them pen.
Margaret Thatcher's close relationship with Ronald Reagan would see them unleash free market capitalism across the world.
Teach you what you should learn.
Social relationships within the wider culture and within the Jamaican Wolves started to fragment as things changed from a we culture to an I. Unbeknown to the public and the Jamaican Wolves was a source of inspiration for Thatcher, Friedrich Hayek. Hayek believed in individualism and dismissed the notion of minorities. He valued solely a commitment to self and no other. The Jamaican Wolves, like many other black communities, were experiencing significant losses in terms of their leadership.
How much time must you be told?
Whilst at the same time being educated about their subjugation that had been going on for centuries through films like Roots. A stark realization of their standing in society. Cracks began to appear between the older and the younger generation. Where the older generation favored hard work and compliance, the younger generation now wanted to rebel. Worse was yet to come. In an act of self-harm, Al Pacino's character, Tony Montana, became an icon for the young Jamaican Wolves. His get rich or die trying philosophy would become eulogized in rap music. Young men fearful of dying in their mid-20s turned towards drugs and violence against their own people. Way before sexual exploitation had entered our lexicon, pimping and prostitution had become part of the reputation of Wolverhampton. Black relationships also came under immense stress. Although black women were very capable, they found gaining employment much easier than the men, and so ended ruling the home, an assault on the black male ego. Imported during this time from Jamaica was a cold-hearted, hyper-violent, hypersexual stereotype. Jamaica was undergoing its own structural revolution. With worries about their children's prospects, an exodus in Wolverhampton began. If the 70s was the decade of self-reliance, the 80s was the decade of fear. Psychologists say that a parent should act as a receptacle for its child's anxieties and allay its fears. A healthy community should provide the same service for its members. But during the 80s, relationships became more fractious. Time for item number 3. In the 80s, money became God.
Yeah, Saturday morning, here we are at El Zoin. I should have been drumming today. This is a class I come to most Saturdays when I can reach, you know. It's not every week I can reach, but sometimes I play in the band, what they got here, the Drums Land band. I play with them and do all kind of things. But today, come to do some drumming, and it's the drumming is off today. I didn't realise it was off till September, so I don't know if it was an email or whatever, but not today. We're going to Malvern. Malvern is a wonderful place. Everybody must check out Malvern. If you don't know Malvern, wow. Hold on there. Last year I was up there. Spent a lot of time. Even, what you call it now? Edgar Hoover. Is it Edgar Hoover? One of them man there. He, when he was sick, when he was young, he had polio. And they took him to the hospital there because they say the water is good. And this road, man. Watch a chitty bang bang about. Hey, he my ball now, watch out. Hear him. And the original rover, you know. Let me make the road down too fast now. You know what I mean? Jesus, man. Look upon him. Chitty bang bang.
Bloody hell.
Hey, too fast, slow down. What the dickens is going on here now, huh? Everybody head for the sun. Or head for somewhere nice. Oh man. Me and Dread Leicester come down here the one night, man. The Worcester man put on an event, and the man them know some man with a big sound. They say the sound is part of a unit of the world's biggest sound system, and they bring a couple bucks down there. And when we come into Malvern, man, oh, if frequency, man. Okay, like I was talking, earlier about coming to Malvern in the night with my father. This is the hill that we're going up towards St Anne's Well. It was darkness, and I thought, well, it'd be a good idea to come in the dark anyhow because people can't see the hill. Sometimes people are put off by the hill. But then I thought, well, my dad now is a Jamaican man, and if he's going out for a walk, this is quite natural for him in Jamaica. So it's like no big thing. So we came out and he walked, no problem, even though he was suffering, you know, with some of the effects of his cancer, you know. Yeah, but he make it to the top. Yeah, here we are on top of the Malvern, well, not quite on top of the Malvern Hills, but we're in the Malvern Hills, one of the levels going up. But I like this spot. When I come here, I like to come to this spot. Let me feel, relax, can think, sort out things. It's very calming here. Even though there are a few people here, still very calming. And looking over the beauty of Worcestershire, you know, it's a great feeling being here. Bring back so many happy memories. Like I said, as a youth, first come up here, then coming back again, playing music here in this very same spot with Yassas, Rastafari, and the Worcester crew. Okay, we're just gonna come back down now off one of the ledges on the Malvern Hill, down to St Anne's Well. Now this well, they tell me here, this is where Haile Selassie used to come and get his water. Oh no, I went to this thing where Babat held the thing on the heritage.
yes, yes.
Jerk fancy. Make sure you make them busy.
I was born here, and this is my country, and I'm not looking to be accepted by anybody else. I don't need them to accept me. I know my birthright, and I know who and what I am, yeah? So we shouldn't, as a people, be looking for no acceptance to nobody. We are who we are. If I go to my parents' country, I love Jamaica, and I love my parents' country, yeah? They will call me foreigner, yeah? They'll call me foreigner. They know I wasn't born there, right? To be fair, before I went to university and before I done research and studied intensely, I never felt accepted, or I never felt British.
Just before 1 o'clock today, Joe Cox, MP for Batley and Spenborough, was attacked in Market Street, Birstall. I am now very sad to have to report that she has died as a result of her injuries. Shortly afterwards, a man was arrested nearby by local uniformed police officers. Weapons, including a firearm, have also been recovered. A full investigation is underway to establish the motive.
I didn't expect it when I went to bed last night. I thought, hearing Nigel Farage more or less conceding defeat, I thought that's it, but I'm very pleased.
In the long run, I think we'll be worse off, but people have chosen that. What can you say?
Not surprised, so I shouldn't be disappointed, but I am, because I do not believe people voted sincerely. It wasn't about the economy, it was about immigration.
We were expecting them to remain.
Yeah.
But it was quite a surprise this morning when we put the telly on and it was exit, so yeah. It's history. We'll just have to wait and see what comes of it.
I think it's more than a referendum about Europe. I think it's a referendum about how the British public are feeling towards the government. this London elite who are completely out of touch with the rest of the country, how ordinary people feel that they really want to give the people in power a bloody nose.
You'd be forgiven for thinking you were back in the 1970s as a 30-year experiment with free market policies draws to a close. Identity politics resurfaces in Britain.
Brexit within itself, I was very passionate about. I've never been so passionate about something like that. I've never voted in my life. That was the first time I voted in my life because I never really involved myself in elections. I never really thought that Labour or Conservative, none of them was for me. You vote one, they just do all the same thing. One of the key reasons why I voted Brexit, was because the unfairness and inequality amongst, my people. Nobody was thinking about how does it affect black people, Well, it affects black people and it affects my children in the economical arena when they go for employment because of the colour of their skin, It can disadvantage them when you have a person from Poland who comes and gets the job above them. And they also get a better forward because of the colour of their skin over my children, Where in fact my family and my people from Jamaica have contributed massively to this island called Great Britain. We have fought in world wars for this country. Now today, there's laws which are, it's changed around where the Europeans are welcome and my people aren't welcome.
Peter Bone, it's a pretty crass thing to go and do, isn't it? I mean, popular in Britain to get rid of villains, but...
Well, it's not popular to build. It's not popular to build a prison in Jamaica at taxpayers' expense. Look, people have come over from Jamaica. Some of them have done things that are very bad, violence and drugs. They're in prison. They should be sent back to Jamaica. But there's no question that taxpayers should provide a prison.
But what about the wider point about reparations?
Well, I think that's totally. I mean, that's a
colonial.
That is a totally different issue.
But what's happening in terms of who has influence there? I mean, if you look at the difference between the way Britain is behaving and the way China is behaving in Jamaica, does Britain really have any influence there?
Yes,
now?
Britain has huge influence. Many of the institutions, the fact that we still have Queen Elizabeth II as the head, the fact that we still follow the Westminster parliamentary model, the education system is still built on colonial education. So Britain has a huge influence politically and economically. And a lot of British companies are in the region and are the ones who are really going to benefit from many of these packages.
Doesn't that precisely place more responsibility on David Cameron to do a little bit more, to think a bit bigger?
Well, I think he is, but I think the idea of reparations is wrong. I mean, I know that there's a group of MPs out in Jamaica at the moment, and there's a lot of close contact between the two countries. But
why is it wrong? I mean, you just gloss over that very quickly. I mean, this is a country that wouldn't exist as it is were it not for Britain's past behaviour.
And let's face it, slavery is worse today than it was 100 years ago.
I beg to differ. We are the descendants of the enslaved, and it's quite clear that you're quite ignorant about our condition today. They want to actually deny that there is a reparations movement. Well, we exist, and we intend for our voices to be heard.
In the 17th century, a rough family of London cloth cutters called Beckford emigrated to the newly conquered colony of Jamaica to seek its fortune. The Beckfords invested in sugar and slaves.
Up, on your feet, on your feet. Up, come on your feet.
And within 4 generations became one of the richest families in England. And Beckford, the playboy, who used sugar profits to bring about a revival in Gothic architecture, Britain's richest slaving dynasty, the House of Beckford. In 1774, an English gentleman, William Beckford of Summerley, arrives in Jamaica.
Jamaica is the best country in the world. Fortunes may be made there, without question. They may also be lost. But an adventurer investor, a speculator of imagination, may certainly lift his fortunes in Jamaica.
Good afternoon, Master. Welcome home. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Welcome, Master.
In Jamaica, his cousin Summerlee is trying to increase the Beckford profits by investing in new slaves. He believes the flow of fresh slaves from Africa is essential for the survival of the sugar business. During the 18th century, 820,000 West African men, women and children are transported to an early death in Jamaica. Thousands more die at sea. They are traded at auctions or scrambles.
Up, on your feet, on your feet. Up, come on your feet.
A scramble is a brutal free-for-all in which the planters literally fight for those they want to buy.
The Negroes from the more popular African countries are soon snapped up no matter what the expense. The more indifferent ones may only be sold by offering credit or reducing the price. They're the ones who are most likely to fall sick, even though when they left their homeland they were most probably healthy and strong.
The indifferent ones are called refuse slaves. They are often abandoned in the streets to die.
Slaves arriving from Africa must first be managed as if they were animals. They must be tamed before they can be treated as men.
Almost a third of seasoned slaves die within the first 3 years. By contrast, planters live an extravagant lifestyle, paid for by credit.
White society in Jamaica is much too addicted to expensive living, costly entertainments, rich clothes.
Such eating and drinking I have never seen. There was loads of food, all sorts of meats, highly seasoned, jellies, gallons of wine, hot and cold chicken, fish, stews, fries. It was quite disgusting.
Thomas Thistlewood is the overseer of a neighbouring plantation. Jamaica has raised him from poverty in England to a position of almost unchecked power.
Good wage, huh?
£200. Yeah?
Like many planters, Thistlewood is sexually predatory.
To your private stock? Pays for the expansion.
White men live immorally with their female slaves. And until they improve their own morality, there is no chance of us teaching the Negroes decency and religion.
He's one of hundreds of producers from across the Caribbean whose profits are fueling Britain's new imperial economy. The quantities of sugar pouring into Britain transform a once luxury item into a staple food. Even the poorest can afford a spoonful of sugar from Jamaica for their tea from China. The British love affair with puddings, biscuits and cakes dates from these boom years.
What does difficult mean?
Difficult mean people judge you by the cover of the book. So they judge you as who you see, you know, not by what you can do and all that. The opportunities weren't there in those younger days. Yeah? But what opportunity I had, I made good use of it.
See,
yeah, a man will come here before, man.
Yeah, then a man will come and see, you mean, and then plan. You see? Yeah, man.
Uncle Vince?
Right? Yeah, man.
Hold it down.
Manners. I mean, I trust the bridging. I'm so pissed off from that man, you know what I mean?
My leg was down this hole.
I mean, I trust it. When we buy that land more, I trust it. You're careful.
See banana tree? Guy named Josh.
So you say the place now look bad?
No.
Look kind of wild for sure.
So because of that now, they break the shed last. We had this thing on the Saturday. You see all these there? No walkway. They breaking the shed last week. Look. Yeah, son.
How are you?
You hear about the tribulation? They broke in our shed last.
Sorry.
Man,
I just...
people are wicked, man.
It is. I think it has to do with the gate.
Yeah, it's the... and then take Alpine lawnmower on. Are you in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take all Alpine place. Take all of that.
Yeah, mommy said they take the lawnmower and take the petrol as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry for you about that. No, that's not good news. That's all Trevor is saying. So I've drafted a letter to him now, posting it to him tomorrow. Yeah? And it'll go to Mitchell and Butler too. Because that gate been up for over 2 years.
Mr. Benjamin, go with the lawnmower.
Challenges now is that our young people, are growing up, going to university. For my daughter, for example, she studied international law, got her degree, and she spent a year in America. She came back, but her plan, long term, is to leave Wolverhampton. She doesn't feel there's anything here for young people, and I know a few young people that I've spoken to, they don't think there's anything here for them, and they can, whatever they want and whatever they're looking for, they can see it in places like London and other far-flung places, even abroad as well. So it's a real shame if we lose that. If we lose that, then how are we going to replace it if our young people go elsewhere? And that's my main worry. We need to have something for the young people growing up, and that will make them want to stay here, remain here, and continue with the traditions. And that's what I would like anyway for the community.
We see man build food industry, catering and all them things, and you think, wow, man's got a restaurant and he's doing this and doing well until they find bigger things and go to the States and run it. This is Wolves, because what I see in Wolves, there's a lot of talent here. I think the talent even starts here, and the talent is good, and then it can't seem to, I don't know, it seems to stop here. It has to move away. When it moves away, it seems to do okay. People I see build up their business here and go away seem to do better than those who stay here. I think people inspiring people. If this might not come through the door, doing my drum class. I could have done with seeing more of the community there. But a lot of people said, oh, you still doing the class? Yeah, I'm doing the class. But I don't see it. It's, oh, no, we'll come one day. But we're glad you're doing it. Everybody's glad for that. We don't see them, but they're glad for it, So I think, yeah, okay, I gotta keep it up then, because they feel uplifted by it. So therefore, I'm gonna have to continue.
It's a real shame, and I don't know how or when we could get that back, because I certainly miss it. Because I was used to it growing up. One of the challenges. Sorry.
What's the conversation about replacing these organisations? Is there a conversation?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's something that I have spoken to the council about. I have contacted their planning section, and I've told them about my concern about the lack of services for black people, black, Caribbean, Jamaican people in particular in the community. And I've talked about how other communities seem to be catered for, but not the black, Caribbean, or even Jamaican community. And I've been told to go away, do my research, and come back to them with my evidence. I'm prepared to do that, because I'm not going to let this one go. So yeah, I'm aware, and they're certainly aware, and they even told me that they've spoken to other people about it, and other people have brought this to their attention, but they've not followed through. So I'm determined that I'm going to follow this one through, because I need to have that community spirit again.
Wanna say?
How it is? Whole Negro spiritual. In getting the Jamaican Wolves to tell their story, I've been hit by two striking similarities between Jamaica and the Jamaican Wolves. One is self-deprecation, the belief that you're just not good enough. The other is the brain drain, the continuous loss of talent. But can they buck this trend? Can they create new cultural spaces and offer the younger generation hope? Anything is possible, even in the darkest of times. And a source of inspiration can be found at the top of New Hampton Road, in the form of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who against all the odds are experiencing a complete turnaround in their fortunes. And as we say in Jamaica, I'm gonna go and big up on yourself. Music to open up our souls, that thing that set me free. Leave it alone. All we need is reggae music to open up our souls. Way from there, way from over yonder, way from there.
Hi Frank, if you could tell us about the run-up to your leaving Jamaica and what things were like once you heard the announcement for you to come to the United Kingdom.
I was living in a poor condition of Jamaican life. We never knew that nothing else was there for us to see.
Yes.
I could sit on the pot, a fire, and go over the market and buy a piece of meat, come back to put it in the pot before the water boil up. So that to show you how
close. Yeah, man.
I was in town, I was living in town. I was living with a man named Burchell Taylor. And he did get this place rent out. But the house wasn't his own. It was a lady live up Village Street named Mrs. Bennett, a white woman. So Mrs. Bennett now give him the place to run. And he take it and rent out it. A room like this. Then anybody say me tell you something, I only been there. He take compressed cardboard and part it in two.
Whoa.
He part it right into what in call it there's one room and one room there's up. When me know 60 away live and that is the old hotel. And 60 I will live there.
That thing I set me free. 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 That thing I set me free.